Hello, Leo, and welcome to your reading. This is Bright Soul Collective Tarot, and these will be your intuitive insights and advice for the month of March 2022. This reading is for Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising, and as always, these readings are general in nature, so please do keep that in mind. Not all of the messages that come through will resonate for you specifically, so I highly encourage you to take anything and everything that does. However that applies to your specific situation. Keep an open mind to anything that might be helpful to you as you move through the month of March, and simply leave the rest. So Leo, I hope you had a great February. Mine was a little rough. I don't know. There's been like a lot of wild energy going on, so I'm very curious to see what comes through in the cards today, but I'm hoping that I can connect you with some good insight and some empowering information to help you feel ready to tackle March and all the energy that it has to offer. So I've got your 3 oracle cards here first. We'll get a read on those. We'll pull some tarot and some clarifiers and finish off with some affirmations. But before we get started on reading the actual cards, I will share with you the channeled messages. So I did take some time to sit down and channel messages for you, Leo, before I actually even shuffled and pulled your oracle cards. So these might be themes, things that you currently relate to, things that come up for you during the month of March. So it's kind of like tapping into your energy and your spirit guides and seeing what comes through for you. So these also may be very specific and may only apply to a certain few of you. So just keep an open mind, and it's totally okay if it doesn't resonate for you. Sorry, I just have to take a drink. My throat is like crazy. Okay, so funny thing, twice in a row. Oh, that's great. I knocked something off. Okay, I'm a hot mess over here. Okay, Leo, so I channeled your messages and I got your oracle cards earlier in the day in anticipation of reading tonight. And it's funny because literally as soon as I started to connect with Leo energy, I got a headache again. And I was like, oh, maybe it's just me. Like I've been reading for the last like hour and a half or whatever. Maybe I just need a break. Sure enough, I took like a good 4 or 5 hours away from reading. And as soon as I sat down and reconnected to the energy and prepared to read, lo and behold, I had another headache. This headache was different than last month, though. I know for you, Leo, I was saying that it was kind of like a tension headache around my eyes, kind of like from squinting or eyes being strained. This one was really interesting. It's kind of like a pressure headache. So it was kind of just like a broad, all over, like the crown of my head, from front to back. It was just like a general pressure. And I do generally feel things like that when the pressure changes. Sometimes it feels like my head is in a fishbowl. My head feels like a little disconnected from my body. So I'm not sure if you're experiencing something like that. It could be that you're pressure sensitive. It could just be sensitive to certain energies as well, because even now as I'm talking, I can feel it's like this congestion that was in my head is kind of just lifting. It's almost like a brain fog too. So I don't know if that would make any sense for you, but I just thought I would bring it up. And also keep in mind that this might not be literal headaches. It might be figurative. Like maybe you've got kind of like a pain in your ass, certain people, certain jobs, like maybe there's something that's really giving you a headache, and that actually could be causing your headaches as well. I don't know. But anyways, Leo, the first message that came through for you was go on, brush your shoulders off. So the Jay-Z song. I don't know if you have a specific connection to that song, you enjoy it. That might just be your jam this month. Maybe that's going to help you stay on track and be focused. You might want to listen to the song, take a look at the lyrics, see if anything stands out for you. It might be just kind of like an affirmative, like an affirmation kind of energy for you this month, especially if you feel like things aren't working out. Maybe people are not responding to you in the way that you would like to. Maybe you're feeling excluded or slighted or looked down on. Whatever the case is, it's kind of like a keep your chin up energy. So I think that'll probably serve you well, whatever comes your way in the month of March. The next thing that came up was Funky Cold Medina. So that's another song. I think it's by Tone Loc. Another song. So this might be your jam. You might already have a connection to it. You should listen to it. Take a look at the lyrics. It's kind of a silly song. But the general gist is it's kind of like, oh, you know, the guy is striking out. He's not having much luck. People aren't into him. And then he kind of finds this like aphrodisiac or like love potion, and like he's drawing all these people in. But the funny thing is like he's still not happy with his experiences. So it's kind of like, if you're in a position where you're just wishing that you had the ability to influence people in the way that you want them to, or you're wishing that people would just like be attracted to you or your energy or whatever it is that you're doing, even if you did have a magic potion, chances are that wouldn't bring you the satisfaction that you're looking for. You know, it kind of reminds me of like the genie from Aladdin and the wishes. Like there's always kind of a catch, and it doesn't really translate, right? Like in an ideal world, maybe, but it doesn't really work like that. And so I think it's trusting who you are, what you have to offer, and like, if anything, leaning more into your own authenticity and just the good qualities that you have in whatever situation that might manifest. It's you don't need a love potion. You don't need like this magical power of attraction, because it's within you, and you just need to find those qualities and feel comfortable expressing them. So be yourself. The next thing that came up was everyone must go. So you might be feeling a little bit reclusive this month, or you might be feeling a little jaded and just tired of people, ready to kind of be introverted. Or maybe if you are introverted, you might be struggling to connect with people because you're just kind of tired of their energy. You could also be taking stock of friendships and people in your life and kind of figuring out who needs to go. Maybe people have long overstayed their welcome. Maybe there are people in your general orbit that are not supportive or not aligned. However that applies to you. The next thing that came through is giving thanks for good friends. So yeah, I think no matter what kind of struggles that you're up against, it's just recognizing the people in your life, and family can be friends as well. The people in your life who are there, who are solid, who will support you, focusing your attention and gratitude on them, and not worrying so much about the other people that aren't necessarily in your corner, or maybe just aren't showing up in the way that you're hoping them to. The next thing that came through is septuagenarian. So that is a person that's in their 70s, so from age 70 to 79. Perhaps there's someone that you know, maybe this month, or who recently turned 70. Maybe an important person in your life is in their 70s, maybe, you know, experiencing a birthday, maybe something specific. I have no idea. However that applies to you. The next thing that came through was the Eightfold Path, which is, it's part of Buddhism. I believe it's part of the fourth noble truth of Buddhism. And so I have the Eightfold Path here for you, just to kind of give you an idea. So that means right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And so you might want to do some research into Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path. The idea of the Eightfold Path is it's essentially the path to enlightenment, working toward the cessation of all suffering, so the achievement of nirvana. You may have an interest in Buddhism. You may already have some knowledge or a curiosity. Maybe Buddhism is something that will be helpful to you this month. Maybe connecting with the information that kind of explains the Eightfold Path might give you some direction as to how to navigate, especially if you are experiencing some suffering or trying to kind of relieve yourself of some of that heavier energy. The next thing that came through was selling myself. So there's a couple of different ways that this kind of struck me. Some of you might actually be selling yourself, like maybe you are the commodity. It could be in a work capacity. It could be in hobbies that you have that you're trying to monetize. So it's like you're marketing yourself to other people, essentially. It could be that you're like selling out or selling yourself short, right? Or you're placing on a lot of pressure, placing a lot of pressure on yourself to sell something or to attract people or to gain support or to get money, or however that makes sense for you. And the thing that struck me with that is just to make sure that you've got it in balance, and make sure that if you're selling yourself, you're promoting yourself, you're trying to kind of meet with success and bring in attention or money or clients or whatever the case is, just make sure that you're balancing that out and that that's your authentic energy that you're representing. Because I think sometimes we can feel pressure to represent ourselves a certain way, especially if it comes to social media and marketing, and obviously that's a really wonderful tool for connecting with people and for putting what we want to share out there. And so, yeah, I think it's a really powerful way for you to connect with people, and just be mindful of how you're presenting yourself and if that's aligned with who you really are and your true values. So it's kind of are you sharing the highlight reel, which is what most people are kind of guilty of, or are you really kind of digging deep and being vulnerable and sharing who you really are? Because if you want to start connecting with people on that level, you may need to lead with that energy first instead of bringing people in and then connecting with them on that level. So that might be something that is helpful to you this month. Because the next thing that came through is trying to win. So you might be putting a lot of pressure on yourself to succeed, or to to establish your foundation, to build upward, to make progress, to see results. And you might be feeling a little bit competitive. You might also kind of fall into the trap of comparison or self-criticism, or, looking at what other people are doing and then feeling badly about yourself, or trying to put yourself above other people that you feel aren't doing as well. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to be successful and putting your effort in that direction. And I think it just carries the same kind of vibe. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. I think just be authentic, share honestly and openly. And I don't think that you have to try to win or try to influence anyone. I think it's a matter of you are winning by being authentic and doing what comes naturally to you, sharing yourself authentically, and you will win, right? That's kind of your recipe for success is you are it. It's already within you, and it's just pulling that out of yourself. The next thing that came through was effort versus intention, which is actually funny because I didn't get my reminder on the Eightfold Path until after I'd finished channeling, because I can't read and think and also channel energy and messages at the same time. It just totally messes me up. So in terms of the Eightfold Path, it might be that your effort and your intention are not in alignment, because what I was going to say about the Eightfold Path is that that's kind of a way of making sure that everything that you say and think and do, everything is in harmony, everything is in alignment, and that's how you kind of get to where you want to go. And that's not just in terms of connecting, reducing suffering and awakening and reaching enlightenment. That's every aspect of life can benefit from that approach and making sure everything is in alignment all the way through. So it's taking a look at your effort, where you're putting your effort and intention, and if that's really in alignment with what you're trying to create and what you want to bring into your existence, because what you put out there and the way that you present yourself and the energy that's behind how you're presenting yourself ultimately determines what comes back to you. You attract more of that energy that you're putting out. So so determining, taking a look at the cause and effect of your life and figuring out what is in alignment and or maybe what you can do to improve that. The next thing that came through is sorry, I just got my words mixed up. The next thing that came through is nice people finish last. And so you might be feeling a little bit downtrodden, maybe a little bit discouraged, maybe on the verge of giving up because you feel like you're a good, nice person. And maybe the people around you are doing some shady stuff, or maybe the people that you see that are succeeding are not necessarily going about it in the most authentic or honest way. Or maybe you find yourself a victim of people that are kind of taking advantage or lying or cheating or whatever. And that's kind of jaded you and given you the impression that nice people finish last. But I'll tell you that's absolutely not true, because there's so much more to life than just the physical. right? And even if somebody is let's, for example, say like profiting in the material, in the physical world, but on an energetic level, they're being dishonest and they're treating other people poorly. It doesn't matter what they have in their external circumstances, because what's going on inside is not, it's not conducive to happiness or peace. And even if they have everything that they want on the outside, the level of inner peace is likely going to be questionable, because people who are happy and fulfilled don't behave like that, right? That's usually coming from a wound and somebody who's got work to do, and we all have work to do. So don't be discouraged. Keep your chin up, keep being who you are, and don't let the world harden you or your heart. The next thing that came through is giving it my all. So yeah, I don't know. I get the sense that you're putting forth a lot of effort into whatever you're doing. It's important to you. You're really, really trying hard, especially with trying to win. And it's like, maybe you're just discouraged about whatever it is that's on your plate right now, whatever you're trying to achieve. Maybe it's feeling difficult. Maybe it's not moving forward quickly enough. And all I have to say is, if it's something that's really important to you, that's all you can do. All you can do is be true to yourself, give it your all, and trust, right? And just try not to get yourself down and get into your head too much. Yeah. And then finally, the last thing that came through was rude awakening, and it's not time yet. So I don't really know how that might apply for you. Perhaps you'll come into an understanding that like there's a certain thing that's not going to work out, or it's not working out right now, or it's not the right time. Maybe there's something you've been pushing forward on that you're going to have to wait. You might face a delay. I don't get the sense that like everything is going to come crashing down on you, but it might just be a little bit of a struggle or challenge. And perhaps if you are like pushing too hard to make something happen and not letting things go as smoothly, or what's the word I'm looking for, organically as they should, then you might kind of end up facing more of a block than you would if you just gave yourself the time to work through it organically, naturally. But yeah, so let's get into your oracles. So your first one is Keepers of the Earth, and it says, "You are not alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you." And it's kind of neat. So you got the eagle here, which usually represents like power and vision. There's the wolf, which is like loyalty. There's the elephant. It's usually like wisdom, knowledge. And then this looks like a cougar or something like that. But usually like large felines represent like strength and courage. So it's kind of like you've got all of these energies supporting you, and it's not just, okay, I shouldn't get into the explanation of it right now, but yeah, not just in the physical world, but also the metaphysical, the mystical, energetically, spiritually, however you want to classify it, if you do connect with and believe in that. And then the next one that we have is Time to Go, and it's number 45. 4 plus 5 makes a 9. 9 are the number 9 is often like, yeah, it's like the precursor to an ending. It's like being near the end of the road and kind of the last step before you really fully close the door. And the next one is the Blue Flame, Spontaneous Awakening, Activation, Integration Time. I think this is like the third time this has come out this month so far, and I still have 4 more readings to do after you, Leo. I know for sure this came out for Pisces. There's another sign. Yeah, I can't remember, but this is a main theme. So it seems like March might be a really big month for some pivotal shifts in perception and transformation. So yeah, let's get into it here. So as I was saying, with Keepers of the Earth, so you're not alone, ancient ancestors stand beside you. It's recognizing that there's a lot of support available to you, whether you know it or not, whether this is something that you might actually be feeling unsupported. You might be feeling alone. You might be feeling like you don't have a lot of resources available to you, and you might be classifying that just based on what you can see and how things have been going thus far. But I think the whole point of this card coming up is to just reassure you that you have a whole wealth of support available to you, that it's completely untapped, it seems. Or maybe you've just started to become aware of the fact that you're in need of support and that it is available to you. So I will say, wherever you feel like you're lacking in life, anywhere that you feel like maybe things are slowing down, maybe you don't have the resources you need to do what it is that you're wanting to do, anywhere that you feel like you could really use a hand or you really need help or support. That could be yourself, your personal development, your mental health, your physical health. That could be in your job, or like if you're starting a career, if you're an entrepreneur. It could be your spiritual path, your spiritual development, your healing, your awareness. It could be within your family, dealing with family members, dealing with friends, dealing with money. It could literally be anything. So however that makes sense to you, the areas where you're feeling like maybe you could use some support, whether you're aware of it or not, it is there. And so there's a twofold kind of meaning to this. So this is saying like you have ancestors, you have spirits, you have energies in the metaphysical, in the world of the unseen that are here, they're watching you, they're supporting you. You can access like their wisdom, their knowledge, their power. You can be supported by it. In addition to having a lot of resources here on earth, like something practical, tangible, other people. And so it's being aware that there are resources available to you, but the only thing that's blocking you from being able to connect with those resources is acknowledgement that it exists, a willingness to connect with those resources, to connect with that support, so to ask for help. And then in addition to that, a willingness to receive. So you might have some blocks around asking for help and or receiving help. You'll know how that applies to you in your specific situation, but especially if you're doing something that you need help with, or that you need collaboration with, or that you're struggling with, right? It's like, don't be too proud to ask for help. Like, we are human. We're here to have shared experiences with others. We're here to help each other. We're here to support each other. We're not meant to do it all alone. We're not meant to be shut off from everyone else and just, like reclusive in our little caves. We're meant to be like a community. We're meant to be supporting each other. And so there's absolutely nothing wrong with needing support, giving support, receiving support. That's just, that's what kind of keeps the world going round. And the trouble is, society, the way it is these days, there's this huge illusion of separation. And this is where Buddhism actually comes into it, is like, I think the law of dependent origination, and the fact that everyone and everything is interconnected. Like, nobody can exist and thrive independently, because we all need someone somewhere somehow. Like, there is no avoiding it, right? And so it's kind of just accepting that that is a part of our experience, and not one to shame ourselves on. So releasing yourself of any burden or shame, or like fear of being a burden, or guilt or shame, worries, blocks around asking for and receiving help. And then the other thing is, so this could be asking a specific person for help, but also, because there's a spiritual element to it, it could simply be voicing your concerns, voicing your needs, asking for help, almost like a prayer out loud, voicing it to your angels, your spirits, your guides, your ancestors, however you want to think about it, putting it out, basically verbalizing it, using your personal power to take these thoughts, these needs, and make them real. Like, even writing them down and then saying them out loud, it's actually putting out there into the universe that you need help, you're open to receiving help. And then once you've put that kind of request out into the universe, it's being open. So having that in the back of your mind, and being aware of when help and support is coming in, opportunities to receive help and support. They might be unusual. They might be totally unexpected. It might materialize out of thin air. It might be something more incredible than you could ever even imagine. So it's important not to put limitations on yourself. And also, when it does come through, accept it. It's hard, especially if you've got blocks around it, but if you want to keep your energy moving in the right direction, and so your relationship to self, your relationship to people here on earth, and the relationship energetically with your guides and the energies that are available to help and support you, you honor yourself and you honor them by accepting the help that is brought to you, even if it doesn't look like you want it to or you expect it to, if it doesn't come in the form that you're hoping. And this could be like meeting people that have a skill that could like offer you a service, maybe for free or at a discounted rate, or teach you how to do something that you need to learn how to do for yourself or for your business or hobby or whatever. It could be, you know, a stranger doing like an act of service for you. It could be coming into like financial abundance unexpectedly. Like this, it could be anything. But yeah, you have to ask. And then when it comes through, it's about working through any kind of blocks or resistance that you have about receiving that. And knowing that you deserve it. If you ask for it and if it comes to you, you deserve it. You don't need to shut yourself off from support from other people. And yeah, that's going to take you a long way this month, especially if you've got a lot that you're trying to kind of connect with, or if you're feeling really particularly in need of support. With time to go showing up here, this card is all about endings. So it's saying that something this month, you may already be aware of it, or it may be coming into your awareness this month just based on how things kind of proceed for you. But it's basically saying that there's something in your current situation that's done. Like it's done serving you. You've learned what you needed to learn. You've gotten a new perspective, or you've gotten the experience that you needed to, or you met the person that you needed to meet, or you got the financial stability that you need to get. Whatever it is, you'll know, because it's kind of that, if the energy feels tired and stale, if you're repeating the same cycles over and over, if it's feeling heavy, if it's feeling limited, if it feels like it's not aligned any longer, it's recognizing that that's just a sign that it's run its course, right? And sometimes we hold on to things that are tired and that have served us and that we really should move on from, just for a fear of like letting go of something familiar. And also it can be difficult. Like sometimes there's a certain amount of grief that comes along with that. And it's just being aware of the fact that if something is carrying that kind of energy, if it's done, if you're done with it, or if it's ending in a manner that's not within your control and not of your choosing, it's just making peace with the fact that that's a normal part of life. Like we go through cycles, you know, we don't stay in the same place forever. We're always learning, we're always growing. And it's kind of like, you're not going to stay in primary school forever, right? You move through, you learn your lessons. You wouldn't decide like, oh, I'm just going to stay here forever so that I'd never have to go, you know, to the next grade. And it's like, you're not going to stay in high school forever, right? So there's always a next step. And it's not feeling like you have to limit yourself out of fear, because if one door is closing, another one will open. But you have to allow the door to close. You have to kind of allow that situation to fall away. And the best thing that you can do is recognize, like, what did you learn? How did you grow? How did that experience shape you and change you, right? And then honor it, right? Honor it, give thanks for it, recognize that it played an important role in your life and that you've learned what you needed to learn, and now is the time to move forward. And you're not necessarily going to move into a new energy immediately. So you might ending something or having something end on you might mean that you move into this kind of period of transition or uncertainty. For example, if it's a job, you might not have the next thing lined up, or you might not know exactly what that's going to be by the time you know that you have to close the door on the old job. Or it could be a relationship. It could be a belief that's not serving you any longer. There are a bunch of different ways that could make sense for you, and you'll know what that is. But it's giving yourself permission to let go with the knowledge that that's what's meant to happen. This is in your highest interest. You've done a great job. You've put the work in. And it's not going to serve you to tie your energy up in that any longer, because there's more waiting for you. And so, yeah, the next door isn't going to open necessarily until this one is shut, until your energy is kind of removed for it, or you're willing to give yourself that opportunity. And yeah, it's not necessarily about loss. It's kind of like release, like letting go. And having like peace about it, not stressing yourself out about it, not feeling obligated to stay too long in a situation that's not serving you, because even if it isn't actively detrimental or limiting, or you can make it work, it's like, if it's not serving you and if it's not aligned, then you're kind of just betraying yourself. You're betraying yourself by staying somewhere that you don't want to be. And then you're also holding yourself back from connecting with more opportunities for learning and growth that could be bigger and better than anything you could imagine. And so it is uncomfortable, especially if the future is uncertain and you don't know exactly what is going to manifest for you. But sometimes you just need to cut yourself off from old energy in order for energetically and just physically for you to be open to new opportunities that come up and to be able to take advantage of those. Because, for example, if you were in a job that you hated or a relationship that you hated, and you were committed to staying there because you felt like you had to, or you felt like there were no other options, even if you did find an option that was really great and really promising, you'd be so closely tied to this job or this relationship or whatever it is that it would be hard, right? It would be hard for you to take advantage of that opportunity. And it's like, especially if it's a relationship, it's like you're not just gonna like dump one person and immediately take up with somebody else, right? So it's like, there are some things that you can't just go right from one thing to another. Sometimes we need that period of rest, recuperation, transition, reflection before we can connect with a new energy. And so you can get everything that you want and ask for, but if you're not in a position to if you're not in a position to receive it, if you can't make use of it, then, you're kind of doing yourself an injustice, especially if you're wanting to connect with something bigger and better, and you're wanting to learn and grow and connect with more like goodness in your life. So whatever that is for you, this might be a month to kind of just, even if you don't actively make the move, even if it's just getting used to the idea and giving yourself permission to work through whatever feelings come up, because this is not easy either, right? There can be mourning and change is never easy. But yeah, just connecting with hope that new things will come in. And by freeing yourself up, you are allowing yourself the opportunity to say yes when that awesome next thing arrives, without hesitation, without talking yourself out of it, without doing yourself dirty. So, and then the next thing is, so this month might be, it might be a little chaotic, to be honest, because with the blue flame here, there might be something that happens, either something related to this release, whatever needs to go, or maybe like your blocks around receiving help, asking for help. There might be something that happens that brings about like a spontaneous awakening, right? So like a major realization or a huge shift in perspective. And that can relate to anything. It can relate to you specifically, your relationship to yourself, your spirituality, your beliefs about yourself and your worth and value. It could be the way that the world works as a whole. It could be career. It could be relationship. So basically, it's like coming to a new level of understanding that just kind of like opens your eyes, like a major shift in perspective. Kind of like awakening, enlightenment. And it's funny that kind of goes hand in hand with this eightfold path toward enlightenment. So maybe that's something that's an energy that you've been in, is like trying to move along the path of like increased consciousness, increased conscious awareness, and growth and development on a holistic level. So the trouble is that receiving that new kind of insight or perspective can activate different parts of us, right? And bring to us new levels of understanding, like what's possible. And so it can be really difficult to integrate that information and figure out what to do with it, because to be receiving it or to experience it and even to understand it on a basic level is one thing, but to actually begin to allow it to shape you and influence you and determine how you're going to integrate that into your life and how that's going to change how you approach yourself and other people and the world as a whole. it can be a really challenging process, and it's not a short process. Like, it takes time and practice, and it's one of those things that you kind of have to work at day by day, like slow and steady, because it's big energy, right? And the other thing to keep in mind is we like to romanticize the idea of like awakening and enlightenment, and like, oh, it's like this beautiful, calm, like these mountaintop moments of realization and love and peace and harmony, and like, that's not really the way that it is. Because in order to connect with the bigger picture, in order to receive like a bigger understanding of what's really going on, it kind of shakes our experience and our beliefs to date to their core. And in order to really accept this information that's come through, or this new perspective or new level of awareness, you kind of have to be willing to let go of everything that you thought that you knew, and all of that kind of stability, and maybe the things that you've kind of built your identity around, right? And so that can be a really challenging energy to be in, not only to experience that, but to figure out like what that means for you moving forward. And yeah, it can bring a lot of stress and anxiety. It can bring a lot of grief. It can require a great deal of healing, because sometimes it brings to our awareness maybe the ways that we've sabotaged ourselves, maybe the way that the lack of this information caused us to do things that we realize now didn't really help, maybe the ways that we allowed other people to treat us or influence us. Like, when this happens, it's a major shift in energy and awareness, but it's also a major shift for you as a person. And you have to kind of work through that, and it can be difficult and messy and challenging. So if you are experiencing, if you do, like if you're in the process of this, or if this comes into being this month, and you kind of have that major realization or a major shift in perspective, and it kind of knocks you off your balance a little bit, it's just being gentle with yourself, giving yourself time and space to work through whatever comes up, whatever thoughts, feelings, fear, anything that's coming up to be released or healed, giving yourself the time and space, and knowing that, it's not meant to be easy. It's not meant to be, there's beauty in the surrender and the the working through maybe suffering to release it, right? So the process as a whole is beautiful, but it doesn't feel beautiful when you're going with it. It can be really intense and painful, and it's not judging yourself for going through that or experiencing it as well. And that might be another way that you need support. Like, maybe you'll need emotional support, spiritual support. Maybe you'll need to connect with people that have had similar experiences or can understand what you're going through. But yeah, it's time to integrate whatever that is for you. Okay, so we'll get into your tarot. Your first card, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out where to place this. Your first card is the Wheel. Neat that it's a number 10. 10 is a card of endings and beginnings. Like I said, when one door closes, another one opens. Okay, let's see what else we've got for you here, Leo. Right, your next card is the 10 of Pentacles. Oh, geez. Okay, for your next card placement, you actually got 2 cards. So you got the 4 and 5 of Cups. We get a vibe from these girls already, don't we? Okay, and finally, your last card is the Page of Swords, and at the bottom of the deck is the 6 of Pentacles. Okay, so with the 6 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, this could mean, not only like trying to establish more stability and balance in terms of the material world, like your material possessions, your finances, your career, your home life, but it could also be coming to a greater level of understanding about the decisions that you make and how they impact your trajectory, and they impact the world around you, what comes to you. So it's kind of like, you can see the infinity symbol here. So it's like, what you give, you shall receive. And so maybe you've learned that there are some perspectives that you've had to let go of in order to connect with more abundance. And it could be also sharing. So it might be either you have resources that you're sharing with other people are sharing their resources with you. And it's kind of like that give and take. So if you have a lack mentality, and that is driving your thoughts, your feelings, and the decisions that you're making, that energetic frequency is projected in everything that you do, and it's bringing more of the same back to you, and it's also attracting more of those energies, more of those types of people that reflect that back to you, and experiences that reflect that back to you. Whereas if you come from an abundance mindset that you have the resources that you need and you can share with others, and it doesn't have to be just money. It can be time, experience, wisdom, whatever you have to share, your abundance. It's recognizing that there's a flow of life, there's give and take, and that recognizing your abundance and sharing your abundance in one way or another. And like I said, if you don't have money to share, there are other ways that you can share love and support and kindness, just the basic, qualities of human decency. So if you're putting that out there in a holistic way, because like with love and not expecting anything back, because you have an abundance to share and you're looking to support other people, that comes back to you, because that frequency is what draws other people in. Whereas if you're giving with a sense of needing something in return, or kind of always measuring the give and take, you're going to attract people that are going to be measuring give and take, and they're going to be likely more concerned. If you're a giving person, they're going to be likely more concerned with receiving from you. So it's recognizing that if you're having a lot of experiences where things are out of balance, especially in terms of giving and receiving, that you might just want to check your energy and intentions, your beliefs about giving, why you give. Are you happy to give without receiving anything in return? Or are you cognizant of what you've given and what you've received, because that might be impacting the types of experiences you're bringing in, especially if you're having a hard time connecting to or appreciating the abundance that you have. Maybe gratitude is something that will help you feel more at ease with that. Or maybe this is the energy that you have been in that's kind of shaping what you're coming into now. So the energy that you are being advised to connect with this month coming into March is basically connecting with fate, destiny, divine timing, believing that that's a thing, believing that that's something that you can connect with, that you can harness, that will help you. But you have to be willing to kind of let go, right? So so the wheel of life, right? Think of it as a game of chance, right? If you spin the wheel, you don't know where that needle is going to land. You don't know if you're going to land on like $5,000 or bankrupts, right? Like Wheel of Fortune, literally. But just because you don't have a guaranteed outcome, are you going to be unwilling to play the game, or are you willing? Are you willing to take the chance, right? And this is saying that whether what comes to you perceive as good or bad, or whether it's what you wanted in the way that you wanted it or not, it's allowing yourself to have the opportunities that you're intended to have without trying to exert too much control, without planning too much, without thinking that you need to have every step calculated and you need to know exactly how to get to your end goal and how everything's going to be and play out, because that actually blocks you. It blocks your energy. It blocks your blessings. It can get you kind of caught up in it can get you caught and make you more susceptible to fear, because it disconnects you from your heart and your emotions and your intuition. And so, so you have to spin, if you want to connect with opportunity and you want life to surprise you with, so like I was saying, things that when you ask, you'll receive. It's just, you have to be open to the ways that comes through. Think of asking as spinning the wheel. right? And so you have to take some kind of intentional and inspired action to set the wheel in motion. And then you kind of have to be willing to sit back and observe and wait. You don't know what exactly is going to happen, but that's the beauty of it, right? Is that there's so much opportunity to connect with. And when you ask and when you set that wheel in motion, if you are patiently waiting and open-minded, you'll be able to see the opportunities as they come in. You'll be able to weigh them and know if they're right for you or if there's something you want to pursue or not. But especially if you're like a spiritual person, if you believe in signs, you believe in synchronicities, if you believe that everything happens for a reason, it's like, it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to believe it and to trust it. And so maybe you might be experiencing difficulty, like trusting yourself, trusting the universe, trusting yourself to keep things in balance when you're facing the unknown, because maybe you like to plan and be really strategic. And it's kind of saying you might need to throw your planning and strategy to the wind this month. Like, I'm not saying that it's not valuable, and I'm not saying that you should be reckless or anything like that, but take a chance on yourself, right? Take a chance on life and see what comes through to you. See how life might surprise you. See who might come into your realm. Like, you know, put your intentions out there, and you have to, you know, in order to win, you have to play the game, right? So I think that's really encouraging. So it's kind of letting go of anything that's keeping you stuck in this idea that you have to manufacture your life and manufacture your success, and that there's like one specific way to do that. This is like, there's so many opportunities. You can connect with any of them at any time. And if you set the intention that you're ready to move forward, then it's trusting that whatever experience you have is meant for you. It's meant for your soul growth. There's something to be learned, and that you can and will balance that out. And even if it isn't what you want, like, we don't always know what's best for us, right? Like, we know what we want, but it isn't necessarily in our highest good. And our soul, you know, knows our path. And so it's connecting to our soul and the calling of our soul that will help us move along that path. And it's trusting. And so we can't know exactly what that is or how that will unfold. And so it's like not blocking yourself from the wonderful opportunities that are available to you, especially if you've been having a tough time, or if you've had loss, or if there's been failure, or if there's been like hurtful things that have happened. It's recognizing that those are just providing you opportunities to learn and to grow. And as long as you're able to move through that energy instead of getting stuck on it, like when you get stuck in that energy and the experience, then you bring the wheel to a stop, and it's really hard to connect because it closes you off, right? But if you can trust that everything is happening for a reason and try to use that to your benefit, the wheel will stay in motion and you'll start to connect with things. But it all starts with you. It starts with you and your energy and intention. So it's like you need to be in alignment too, because she's balancing on the wheel and she's keeping her light and dark in balance. And she's doing yoga. So maybe yoga will be helpful to you. Your block this month, let's just say, could be career, could be finance, could be family, stability, your house, your home, anything that has to do with the absolute pinnacle of success, happiness, stability, and abundance in the material realm, however that makes sense for you. So whatever is on your mind that's really important to you, whether it's starting a family, taking care of your family, having the resources that you need for your family, whether it's just you on your own material abundance, your career, happiness and fulfillment in your career, having a certain number in your bank account, buying that house or that car, having all the material possessions that you want. So this is like your happily ever after in the material realm. That's your block. So it could be your beliefs about that. It could be the vision that you've set up for yourself. Perhaps it might not be in alignment with what you really want. Maybe you're stressing yourself out about it. Maybe you're putting too much pressure on yourself to try and get there. Maybe you're projecting yourself into the future and saying like, well, I'll be happy when I have this. And in a sense, you might be overlooking your opportunities for happiness and all of the wonderful abundance that's available to you right now. And so if you are experiencing delays, or if things aren't working out, or if you have fear that you're never going to get here, however this energy is blocked for you this month, or maybe you're already experiencing it, whatever comes up and that triggers you in that sense, the whole purpose is it's trying to It's not that it won't happen. It's not that you don't deserve it. It's not that you're doing something wrong. It's you're not letting yourself be happy right now, right? Or maybe you're just being, they say it like rejection is God's protection or whatever. But, maybe the reason that you're not getting there or things aren't working out or there's a block is because you're being given the opportunity to get your emotions right, to focus on happiness, to connect with happiness, and to think about all that you've accomplished to date, all of the abundance that you have. And just remember, abundance isn't just financial. Abundance can be like love and support. It can be health, right? It can be family, having a healthy, happy family. It's like all of the good things. So it might be like connecting more with gratitude and being more aware of all of the abundance that you do have, all of the ways that you are fortunate and blessed, and all of the hard work that you've done to get to where you are now. Because we have a habit of selling ourselves short in that we're always focused on achieving goals and smashing out goals. But the thing is, if we don't appreciate our effort and we don't take time to be happy and connect with abundance as we're working toward the goal, we're not connecting with the happiness and abundance that we wanted that end goal being achieved to bring to us. Instead, we completely act like it hasn't even happened, and we just set the next goal and move on. And so we can end up with all of the things that we had dreamed about, maybe 10 years ago. And maybe it doesn't look quite like we expected it to. Maybe the journey didn't pan out the way that we wanted it to, but we might still have connected to that abundance, or we might still have a lot of things that are important to us that maybe we're just not taking the time to recognize, right? And so the interesting thing is the energy that's being recommended for you to work through and clear and release this block related to this happily ever after materially is oh my goodness, getting rid of this sad girl energy. You don't have to be a girl, but I just say it because these are two girls, right? So this girl is kind of like, she's wishing away her days. She's wishing away her happiness because she's got this cup here that's full of happiness and love and joy and connection and like depth and all of the good things. Huge opportunity, all this wonderful stuff right here. She's not even looking at it, right? She's got 3 empty cups here, and she's thinking about how those empty cups haven't been it, and she doesn't realize that happiness is already here, that fulfillment is already here. It's already under her nose, and she just has to look over and see it, right? So this can be an energy of feeling apathetic, feeling disconnected, like you don't care. It could be, it could even be like depressive. Like both of these cards could be, maybe you're prone to depression. Things are feeling like dark and heavy, and it can be focusing too much on the things that aren't happy, or the things that aren't good, or the things that you've lost, or the things that haven't worked out. And inevitably, wherever we put our attention, that's what kind of makes our life. That influences our decision. It influences our energy. And if we're in a place of lack where we feel like nothing is going right and we're discouraged, if that's the energy that's motivating us to keep moving forward, that's what we're going to see in our reality. And that's what's going to be drawn toward us. Whereas when we start to focus on the opportunities for love and connection and abundance and fulfillment, the joy that's already here, we're able to connect with more of that, right? Because it's your energy, it's your frequency, and it is a choice. So what happens to you might be out of your control, but how you respond to it is within your control. And as much as you might feel like things are not panning out the way that you want them to, and you have some feelings about that, that's totally fine. You can feel those feelings. It's just important to find a healthy way to work through and release them. Whether you have an outlet, whether you do talk to someone about it, like therapy or whatever it is, but it's working through it, because you don't want to make a home for yourself in those dark emotions. Because if what you really want is happiness and fulfillment, and all you're doing is focusing on all the things that are unhappy and unfulfilling, it doesn't really matter what happens for you, because you're not going to be in a position to see it, receive it, or appreciate it, right? This is all about being willing to recognize and receive the good things that are here for you. And they're here for you, right? And I don't want to oversimplify it, because it can be hard to choose to connect with it, but it is a choice. Happiness is a choice. It's something that we have to practice. It's something that we have to choose. And we can't undermine our difficult experiences and say that they don't mean anything. All we can do is try to work through them, try to learn from them, to allow ourselves to be grown, like to grow and to be changed by those experiences, and to choose to find something positive to connect with to keep us going. And like this one here, these are energies are very similar, right? But this one is kind of like, the one thing that always pops into my mind when I look at it is like, there's no use crying over spilled milk, right? So you might also, it's not only that you're focused on like maybe the negative things, maybe you've got a pessimistic outlook, like things haven't worked out and they're never going to work out and you're feeling discouraged, but it could also be that you're still living in the past. You're still attached to these things that have happened that have been hurtful or disappointing. And even though they're in the past and really you should be moving on from them, you're revisiting them, your energy is still attached to it, you're still acting like it's in your present situation. And so if you're not leaving the past in the past, particularly if it's been challenging or hurtful, it's really difficult for you to bring anything new into your existence. So perhaps this is the type of energy that's what you need to shut the door on, right? Oh my gosh, this reading is like intense. But yeah, that's what you need to shut the door on, is those like whatever happened in the past that's keeping you stuck in that low energy, right? Because if it happened, right? She can't get this back in the bowl, right? And even if she could, would she be happy? No, it's going to be tainted in some way, right? So she's got a full cup here, right? Why is she so focused on the one that's going down the drain? So it's letting yourself connect with opportunities for love and happiness, no matter what has happened to you in the past, giving yourself permission to shut the door on it, even if it brings you to a scary place, even if it brings about a major shift in perception about yourself or about the world, and being willing to connect with it with the knowledge that that's the only thing that's holding you back from experiencing whatever it is that you want. Like, you have to lead with that energy first. You have to let yourself get into that energy. It's not just going to come as a result of working really hard, like in the material world, right? So that might be it too. Maybe you're working really hard and you're not actually dealing with the emotional implications of the things that have happened in the past, and it's blocking you from connecting with your fate, your destiny, whether it's a person, a job, abundance, whatever it is. The highest possible outcome for this month is wonderful with the Page of Swords. It is about being able to, it's about having curiosity, being willing to learn, right? Having a beginner's mind, being able to recognize that everything in life is our teacher. Every experience, every feeling, every person. We are the student and the teacher. Everyone else is our student and our teacher simultaneously. There's always something to be learned. And so it's not closing yourself off to opportunities to learn, to new perspectives, to enlightenment. And it's trusting that that will carry you through, right? Because if you're able to learn, that makes you adaptable. If you're able to learn, and you don't have to accept everything indiscriminately, right? But it's keeping an open mind and seeing what you can learn, particularly from challenging situations that make you want to shut down or that feel hurtful. It's being able to find the lesson, and to be changed, to get out of a fixed mindset and be willing to do something with that information. Give yourself permission to cross the bridge, to leave that in the past, and trust that you'll be able to discern what is right for you, right? And it's also recognizing that everybody's different. Everybody has different experiences and a different approach to life. And that you can hear someone out. You don't have to, it's like agree to disagree as well. You don't have to agree. You don't have to take everything that they say as the truth, because we all have our own unique individual truth. But it's kind of letting yourself be on the path to uncovering that. And we do so by being exposed to different perspectives, maybe awakening, and learning from our life experiences. So it's like, life isn't about getting what we want, right? Because we don't always know what's best for us. Life is about learning and growing and adapting. And that's how we thrive. And that's ultimately how we do connect with our dreams. Because, getting what we want isn't going to heal us, right? Okay, so your first card clarifying the wheel is the Ace of Wands. This reading is going to go a little longer than expected. But I guess I can't be surprised because this is Leo energy and my sun is in Leo and my Mercury is in Leo. So I talk a lot. Okay, 10 of Pentacles, clarified by the Page of Swords. Oh my. Okay, that's way too many cards. We are going to start again. Also, I have to say, the whole like go on, brush your shoulders off, that came up because I kept on like visualizing the 7 of Wands from this deck, which is about like facing opposition, criticism, you know, people trying to knock you off your game, and it's like not letting them get to you. So that's good energy for this month too. Don't let things get you down. We've got Death coming out under the 4 of Cups. Page of Pentacles under the 5 of Cups. And the 4 of Cups coming under the Page of Swords, which is really good. And we have the Hermit at the bottom of the deck. And so with this whole balance, giving and receiving, stepping out of a lack mindset and maybe giving from a place of lack and expecting something in return, to coming into abundance, recognizing your abundance, being able to share freely and trust that what you put out comes back to you, especially when you're giving freely from a place of abundance. Perhaps that had to do with some kind of major event that made you really turn inwards, maybe connecting with your own inner wisdom. Maybe you did have to kind of like shut yourself off from the world for a little bit, or maybe you've been isolated not by your own choice, and it's got you in a position where everything is amplified, right? If you're isolated, all of the experiences that you have are that much more obvious and more meaningful. So perhaps there is a reclusive period of reflection, a period of isolation, or perhaps you've really just been isolating yourself and being in this kind of like past energy. And that's what's kind of brought you to this place where you're on the precipice of like change and just letting go, anchoring in some like new energy and working to start integrating that. So the Ace of Wands under the wheel means connecting with fate and destiny. It's following your inspiration, allowing yourself to connect with passion and excitement and creativity, the things that it's like that little spark inside of you, the things that really light you up, the things that like, you know, make you shine in your soul, the things that you have to share. And this is an opportunity to connect with new passion. So if that's been something that's missing from your life, that passion and enthusiasm, it's being willing to connect with that, making room for that in your life, taking time to investigate what that looks like and feels like for you, and what steps you can take to move forward, because that is the energy that's going to help you put that wheel in motion and be willing to kind of put it out there, whatever it is that you want, to put it out there, to set the wheel in motion, to remain open and to trust yourself to keep things in balance while you're letting things come to you and fall into place, and being willing to receive them as well. The Page of Swords coming out under the 10 of Pentacles. It could be like a new maybe you're on the path to integrating a new perspective or a new belief about what this is for you, about what that looks like. Maybe in the past you've held on to this like very traditional view of what your happily ever looks like, and perhaps you're not there yet and you're having to adjust your timeline or adjust your expectations. But this is about, maybe you need a new perspective on it, right? So it's kind of like being on a new path, being open to receiving information, and to recognize the thoughts and beliefs that you have that are limiting, that are holding you back, and the thoughts that aren't aligned, and to find your own truth and empowerment, because you're kind of at the stage where you're able to start moving forward in a new direction, right? So it's like you've kind of gone through, I feel like you've gone through a lot of like the pain, the suffering, the challenge, and now you're getting to a point where it's like it's like a repose for you, right? You're kind of gathering your strength, you're reassessing. And so that could be why this is a block, is maybe you're trying to integrate everything that's happened and how that's changed your perspective. And it's just your emotions that need to be dealt with and kind of evened out, because they're getting in the way. I love that Death is coming out here under the Four of Cups, which is this apathy and this like happiness that's right under your nose. You're just not looking at it. So being focused on the past, because that is basically saying like that old version of you that is attached to those events, that's attached to the past, that's attached to the pain and the hurt. It's recognizing that that happened to you for a reason and to let that go, to let that die out. So it's like allow yourself to be reborn as a result of your experiences, to take whatever good you can and to move forward in a new direction, right? Because there's the opportunity for transformation. And by holding on to the stuff that's not serving you and that's distracting you from connecting with this joy and bringing more of that joy in, you're just delaying this major transformation that's going to allow you to step even further into yourself and even more into alignment with what's really important to you. Because like I said, when one door closes, another one opens, and you can't have it all, right? So it's like you might need to be in a position of transition or uncertainty between one door closing and the other one opening, where you're just kind of trying to keep things in balance and be open to connecting with things. But I think it's really wonderful because it's like letting go, letting that die, letting those parts of you, letting those beliefs that are attached to that die, and allowing yourself to be reborn and start again. Letting go, that's a major, major theme. With the Page of Pentacles coming out under the Five of Cups, this is an opportunity. It might be an opportunity to start new in terms of career. It might be like a new career. It might be a new endeavor to make money. It might be a new take on, financial abundance or independence. You could be at the beginning of something that has the ability to be really profitable or really abundant. This could be starting a new family. This could be a new house. It's not just career. And so it's like letting go of these emotions from the past is going to bring you maybe a little bit more awareness of the current material stability that you have, whatever that looks like, whether it's career, whether it's financial, relationship, like your home, family, your material possessions. And recognizing that you've already built a pretty firm foundation, or you've already got a pretty firm foundation. And now it's really just being open to the way that could kind of blossom into a higher level of abundance and stability, right? And like a calm, grounded energy where you're trusting that you have the ability to achieve what you want, and you have the ability to impact the physical world, right? So I think that's really nice. And I think it's also good because it's being able to connect with abundance and support in practical ways, which is saying like there are people around you that are here to help you and support you. And that might be allowing you to recognize this is just letting go of this sad energy and allowing yourself to connect with the stability that's here, right? Recognize your strength and recognize that you can create you have the power of creation, right? Creativity. And then with the Four of Cups coming out again. So Four of Cups energy is really strong in this reading. Just like overlooking this opportunity for love and joy and fulfillment now. If you want it and you associate it with your end goal, no, it is here now. You can connect with it now. Put the work in to connect with it now, because even if you get here, if you're in this Four of Cups energy, do you think achieving this goal is going to shift the Four of Cups energy? This is something that you have to choose to do now, and it's going to be really lovely and empowering. And so I love that comes up under the Page of Swords, which is learning, integrating new information, having the beginner's mind, trusting that you're going to be able to work through and integrate new information and new perspectives. I love that it came out right under activation and integration as well. So this awakening, you can kind of use that vision and awareness and to guide you further along your path. And it's kind of neat. It's also very symbolic because you've got Four of Cups here, this like sad energy, letting it die, right? And then this is kind of saying like that this Page of Swords energy is kind of the key to maybe fully shutting the door on the Four of Cups, or just recognizing that this energy, this apathy and focus on lack is something that's maybe has been a long-term problem for you. And so maybe just keeping a higher level of awareness that that's something that you struggle with, and using the knowledge and the perspective and the ability to adapt to help you to overcome that, because it's not going to be a short-term thing. Okay, we are going over for time, so let's get you some affirmations, Leo. But yes, this is a very energetically intense month. I have not looked at the astrology of this month. I know Pisces season tends to hand our asses to us, especially with this Cups energy here. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some major stuff going on in the cosmos. Right, your first affirmation. To relinquish control, I simply let loose and allow myself to be more childlike. So that can be associated with this Ace of Wands as well. The pages are also, they're not child energy, but it's like youthful, it's young. So you might need to connect more with your inner child. There might be inner child healing to do. And it's like, yes, letting go of control, letting go of planning, letting go of trying to exert your will and push things to happen, and really just connecting more with yourself, your support, letting go of what's blocking you and allowing yourself the opportunity to connect with something that aligns. So I let go and allow the universe to do her thing. Relinquish control, let go, trust the universe. We're having a lot of repeated themes here, Leo, so make no doubt about it. There is a major theme here of letting go of control. When I move my body, I bust through all that blocks me from my true health and vitality. Right, so physical movement, physical activity, however that appeals to you, is something that's going to be important, especially if you are feeling blocked, if you're dealing with frustrations around blocks, if you're trying to integrate new information. It's going to help keep you on your game and really going through like spiritual awakening, dealing with heavy stuff, dealing with endings, dealing with difficult emotions. It is really, really taxing on all levels. And so doing what you can to keep yourself healthy and revitalized is very important. And then releasing anger from the past sets me free in the present. Right? Okay, let's stop focusing on the past. Give yourself the gift of releasing whatever that is, and knowing that you don't have to hold on to it and carry it with you for the rest of your life. Close the door on it. It might feel uncomfortable. It might feel unfamiliar, but you are going to give yourself the opportunity to connect with something better and to connect with your own happiness and light first and foremost. So if you want to be free now, if you want to experience something better now, let go of that old news, those cups that were unfulfilling, that disappointment. Allow that to die away, and you'll be surprised just how much that's going to impact your day-to-day. It's going to free up so much time and energy for you to channel into something that aligns, something that you're passionate about, something that's going to take you on your path and help you continue growing and ascending, really. So Leo, that is your reading. I'm sorry it went on a little longer than expected, but there's lots of energy here for you. I really hope this is helpful for you this month. If you enjoyed this reading, please feel free to like the video and leave me a comment for sure. If you can think of anybody who might enjoy these types of readings, feel free to share my content with them. If you haven't already, you can hop on over to my channel at Bright Soul Collective Tarot. Take a look at my other readings and hit subscribe so you can stay up to date on new readings as they're posted. And that is it, Leo. So yes, I'm wishing you all the best. I hope that March brings you everything that you're looking for. And if it's a heavy month, keep your chin up, brush your shoulders off. Don't worry, you will get through this. There's a lot of big things on the horizon for you, I sense. So that is wonderful. So it's been a pleasure to read for you, and I very much look forward to doing so again in the future. And in the meantime, I'm wishing you all the very best.